And here we are, back again for another edition of Trey's Chow Down Live, and finally it works.
All right.
Technical difficulties, man. We hadn't used the studio in, 2.5 months, and it just was crazy. So we're here for our new season. We're kicking it off today with Chef Kent Rathbun from Dallas. Kent, thank you so much, buddy.
Pleasure, man.
I really appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Sorry for all the troubles.
No worries. As I was saying, man, I know where you're at. I feel you.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about a few things first. Our best barbecue in North Texas comes out in about a month. Texas Monthly, Daniel Vaughn for the Texas Monthly, theirs is out now, and you ought to pick one up. It's got over 200 different barbecue places all around Texas. It's a neat deal. I haven't had a chance to go through the whole thing, but if you like barbecue, you got to check it out. So, Kent.
Yeah.
I tell you, this thing's crazy what happened, wasn't it?
You know, it is, I can't stand the term the new norm, but it is really it's the new world, man. I mean, it's crazy. People
are just scared to death. And I think part of that little bit was all the media confusion because no one really knew when they started.
Well, I think you have to err on the side of caution. I mean, if you don't, man, you're looking back going, wow, this is way worse than it could have been.
Yeah. I talked to Teaser a little bit, and I talked to Quincy that owns Fred's over in Fort Worth, and they were both just talking about, being ready to open being lawsuits and people getting sick and,
right.
Just everything snowballing if it wasn't taken care of right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, Kent, where are you from originally?
So I grew up in Kansas City, man. Kansas City barbecue, baby.
That's right.
KC.
Boy, there's a distinct difference between Kansas City barbecue and Texas barbecue.
Well, I think there is, but, I describe it as mostly the spice. I think Kansas City barbecue is very similar in the style of it.
Yeah.
But I think most of the barbecue that I see in Texas has just got a little more punch.
Yeah.
And, I love it, man.
Yeah, they have one here in Dallas, 18th and Vine, which I love.
Yeah, for sure.
I really love their stuff.
Yeah.
So when did you decide you wanted to be a chef? Was it something that you...
I grew up in Kansas City. My father, early in his life, was a musician. He used to play alto sax for orchestras. Oh. And a lot of the things that he did, he would travel around the country in these traveling orchestras. So he ended up in the kitchen a lot. So he was a great cook. He was never in the restaurant business, nor a chef, but he was a fantastic cook. My mother, on the other hand, came to Kansas City and earlier in her life, met my father. She became a server in restaurants, but she was in restaurants that were super high-end. So My first job in Kansas City as a cook was at Sambo's. You remember Sambo's?
Yeah, I remember Sambo's. Yeah, dude, I sure do.
I popped into Sambo's one day. I was 14 years old, rode my bike down there, filled out an application, lied on my application. Sorry. It was a little white lie, but... got the job as a dishwasher.
Yeah.
When I tell you, like, the first day or two, I went out and met the night cook, the guy that comes in at 10 o'clock,
yes, sir.
Met him and said, hey, I want to learn how to cook, and I would love to stay late and help you, and if you'll teach me how to cook. And 3 weeks later, bro, I was cooking on the schedule.
That's awesome.
And then at the time, my mother was working in a French restaurant, which was the highest-end restaurant in Kansas City at the time. It was a restaurant called Le Bon Auberge.
Le Bon Auberge?
Yeah, and she was the maitre d' and dining room captain, and so she got me a job as an apprentice.
Awesome.
And, my mother was kind of famous in the city because not only was she a woman in this job in a French restaurant as a captain, which just didn't happen at that time.
Right.
She was also 6'3".
Oh, my gosh.
And she was quite the entertainer. And so my brother and I just grew up in a family who really knew how to cook and who rocked it out, and we went to great restaurants our whole young life, and that's how I got started.
6'3".
6'3", man.
My gosh. Was your dad tall, too?
My dad was 6'2". My brother's 6'5". I'm 6'3".
Yeah, that's awesome. So everybody was pretty much the same then.
Oh, yeah. We all were a big family. My uncles were big guys, too.
Now, your brother, he's a chef, too, correct?
He is. My brother's a very famous chef in Atlanta, has several restaurants, and, he and I have just grown up in this business, and it's been so much fun to be able to kind of connect with him our whole life through this. I mean, we cook together 2 or 3 times a year, maybe more. He represents the Atlanta Falcons at the Tasty NFL at the Super Bowl. I represent the Cowboys.
Yep.
And so we get together at the Super Bowl every year, and we do events all over the country.
That's awesome. And you have an event coming up for you and your brother going to do together, right, for charity?
Yes. In fact, we donated a package to the St. Jude's Medical Center.
Right.
And I've done a lot of things with them. And Doug Brooks, who you may know the name, Doug was the chairman of the board or CEO, or I'm not sure. He was the big honcho at Brinker for years. And Doug's the kind of guy, when he calls me, it's like, what can I do for you, Doug?
Yes, sir.
Like there is no in it. It's
That's right.
What do I need to do and when? And so they wanted me to put together this package. So the deal is, the people that bought the package come to my home for a really beautiful dinner, and Kevin's flying in, and so he and I will cook the dinner together. And in fact, Trey Wilcox, who used to be one of my chefs at Abacus back in the day, he's going to help us. So this group will have all three of these guys cooking. And then the very next morning, we're going to get on a private jet and fly to Atlanta and do the same thing at Kevin's house. So it's going to be pretty much.
That's going to be awesome. I like Trey. He's done some stuff with Teaser too.
Great dude.
I think it's a fantastic deal what you're doing. I just, when I first originally saw, I watched your video.
Yeah.
I thought, what a great deal, because that's something people will never experience. Most people won't experience anything like that.
And that's the thing. I think that chefs, we get taxed a lot with these charity fundraisers, and we're happy to do it. And it is a different world now because of what's going on.
Sure.
And so sometimes I think, even before this whole COVID deal, I was always trying to be someone who did something that was creative, and that somebody went, okay, now that's off the beaten path a little bit. And I think that's what causes people to buy, and then subsequently that's the donation, right?
Sure.
So it's and plus I like it.
Yeah,
I love
plus
hanging with my brother.
Like you said, there's so many charities now, stuff going on, and a lot of them do all kind of rate the same. Dinner here, music. That is something that I was like, wow, that's a great idea. That is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, it's I've said it for years. I mean, I feel like Dallas is one of the most philanthropic cities. There's no shortage of charities in Dallas, Texas. And, thank goodness there's no shortage of people who are very philanthropic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very giving city. And so I've always felt like this is our way of giving back to the community. And I've always tried to avoid, traditional advertising, because I think these kinds of things is way more impactful. Sure.
I do believe that a chef, I tell everybody this all the time, there's chefs that are cooks and chefs that are passionate about what they do.
Right.
And if they're passionate about what they do, then they love giving back.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just they understand where you come from and how hard it was, like working at Sambo's. Man, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Sambo's. I don't know whatever happened to them anyway.
We know there's so the company lost a massive lawsuit. I mean, it started a racial lawsuit because the term, because the name, and then the whole thing was surrounded around this young boy from Africa, and the tiger chasing him around.
Right.
I literally have the images of this nursery rhyme, and it was a nursery rhyme.
Right.
Okay. And we had them all over the restaurant, and I have it in my mind right now, but they lost the company over this. However, the original one Sambo's that started the company is still running in Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty
that's
cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you did that, and you obviously went. Where'd you go to culinary school?
Did not.
Okay.
Hard knocks, man.
That's good.
Yeah. I started really young in the restaurant business, as I said, and when I went to La Bona Bears as this apprentice, I was 17 years old. I was a junior in high school, 17, and I was working at the top restaurant in the city. And all my friends are, they're all still, they still talk to me, and they go, oh my God, I remember when you were like you were like the rock star of the school, because like we're all working at McDonald's and you're like you're cooking for senators. It was crazy.
Well, you know what I've learned, because I've interviewed in the last 2 years, I've interviewed a lot of chefs, and it's funny because it doesn't matter where you start. It only matters where you get the destination point where you're going to.
Right. But all of those places along the way, man, they mold you for sure.
Right. The experience, right?
And by the way, I think that there is just as much positive things that happen when you have a negative experience, right?
Sure.
I mean, like when you work in a restaurant that's not well run, or you work for a crazy chef or a crazy operator, hopefully you're learning things that you don't want to do in the future, and you're molding yourself to be a better operator and a better person.
I agree with you totally. My family's in the restaurant business for 100 years, and I worked until we sold out in 2005. And every place that I worked, I learned something. It may have been negative, but you got to take that negative position and put it and make it a positive. So you don't want to do that or remember it.
Dude, lemons to lemonade, brother.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's my motto right now, man. If you don't pivot and make lemonade out of lemons, you're going to be in trouble right now.
So when did you move to Dallas?
Yeah, I moved to Dallas in 1990. My brother was here before me. He worked with Stephen Piles. He was the chef of Baby Ruth, if you remember Baby Ruth back in the day. So, were you ever around when all of us used to hang out at Primo's?
No, sir.
Okay, so
I was around, but I wasn't over there.
So Primo's was the chef hang.
Okay.
Like you could walk into Primo's pretty much at any time after dark, and you'd run into a number of cooks, chefs, servers. And I mean, that was just the restaurant hang.
That's
and
neat.
it was pretty neat. And so my brother was in there and heard Dean talking about needing a morning sous chef at the mansion on Turtle Creek. So my brother called me up and he goes, "Hey Kent," you should apply for this job. I was a executive sous chef at the American restaurant in Kansas City, which, by the way, was also at that point in time the #1 restaurant in the city. It was owned by Hallmark Cards, 5 stars, 5 diamond. I mean, it was really fantastic. And but I was kind of wanting to move on and get out of Kansas City, and so I called Dean. He said, "Man, I'm going to fly you down."
That would be Dean Faring.
Dean Faring, yeah. Is there another Dean?
No, I don't know.
I mean, is there another Dean?
Not in the culinary world.
Not in the culinary. So I flew down, met Dean, and interviewed, and next thing I knew, man, I'm moving to Dallas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so you, when you came to Dallas, you obviously worked there, and so you, how long before you started your own thing?
Well, so I worked at the mansion from 1990 to 92. Then I went to the Melrose as the executive chef from 92 to mid 95.
I still love that building.
I love it. It's a beautiful hotel. The library bar is fantastic.
Okay, that's one of my favorite bars in Dallas.
Isn't that cool?
To this day still.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I try to go early because I don't want to. I go early before everybody gets, because it's kind of a late type bar. But it's just one of my favorite bars in Dallas.
I have to tell you that job really took me to a different place as a chef and a manager and an operator. Because it was a hotel that was up and coming. I got the job there right after the hotel sold. It sold to a company in Bangkok called Dusit Hotels.
Bangkok.
And Bangkok was where their
headquarters was.
Their headquarters. I mean, literally, the guy hired me at the Melrose. Next question says, "Do you have a passport?" I said, "I do not." He goes, "Here's a fast track application. You need to push this in, fax it in the morning. I'm going to send you to Bangkok in 1 week." And I had to go to Bangkok and cook for 2 weeks.
That was experience, wasn't it?
Oh my God! And I went back for 2 more years. So I went to Bangkok 3 consecutive years, and cooked in this fantastic hotel and some of their other resorts around Thailand. I mean, that
is an experience in itself.
It was unbelievable. And seriously,
and you were getting paid to do this. So
getting paid to do it.
You did.
No, I loved it.
That's amazing.
Well, and I think that's the thing too. I tell people all the time, I've had such a blessed life. I mean, both my brother and I, we've been asked to cook all over the world. We've been asked to cook all over the country. We are fortunate enough to be in these beautiful wineries and different countries. And I mean, this job has been, look, we have bad days like everyone else, but I'm going to tell you, I love what I do still today. I dig it.
I'm passionate about food and drink. I get up every morning and say, "Man, what's the day going to bring?" That's just the way I am.
Exactly.
And that's awesome. What was your favorite thing about Bangkok? Well, if you could take anything away from, what was your favorite thing about it?
Street food.
Oh,
absolutely. Street food. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. So we get there the first time, and we get up. We flew in. We got there at like 4 a.m. and of course by we had an 8 o'clock meeting, so we only had like 3 hours to nap, but we were already wired up and wide awake. So we met the GM, and he starts to explain to us. He says, "Now look," he said, "the street food is extremely healthy, and basically you shouldn't be afraid to eat on the street here. All the food is fantastic." Now I will tell you there There were some little vendors that I went, I'm going to skip that vendor. Just because of what I know as a chef. But I'm going to tell you, by and large, man, the food was insane on the street, okay? But one of the greatest experiences I had was a place called the Seafood Market in Thailand, in Bangkok, okay? Imagine a Walmart with no shelving, only a sea of tables and chairs, okay, in the entire store.
Is that big?
And that big. And then on the sides, both sides and the back are like grocery shelves, right? So one side is breads and booze.
Right.
The back is a seafood counter like you've never seen in your life. And the left-hand side of the store is produce. So you grab your basket, just like you're in a grocery store, and you go shopping. And, I mean, you buy shrimp that are swimming. You buy fish that are breathing. You buy fantastic produce. You buy wine. You buy beer. You buy some bread.
And everything is farm fresh.
Everything is fantastic. And, I mean, when I say breathing, I'm talking laying on the ice, still moving.
Yeah.
Okay? And you buy it all up, and then you go through a checkout just like you would at any grocery store. And then you go find a table and you sit, and then here comes a waiter on roller skates, okay? And on the menu is just preparation styles, okay? So tempura, curry, stir fry, this kind of stuff, that kind of stuff, right? And then the waiter will help you based on what you have in your basket, determine how you want that cooked. Then this person takes the basket, rolls off on these roller skates with your basket, comes back about 30 minutes later with a feast, okay? And, I mean, it was crazy. And we got up and we went to the back of the kitchen, and when I say walks, this thing here is not a walk. Okay?
No.
Like the walks are like 4 feet in diameter, and there's 40 of them. And there's 40 chefs.
Jeez.
They would just walk up, and they would just drop the basket in the cart in front of one walk station, and the guy would just go crazy. And I'm telling you, it was the coolest thing.
I love to watch him work those walks.
Awesome.
Oh, I mean, it's just
great.
It is a skill. It looks easy, but it's not easy at all.
And you know what? You got to be moving. I mean, if you're not moving fast
burns
enough,
it, right?
It'll fry it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be.
Because I've seen people on not Iron Chef, but one of the chef shows where they give them walks to do, and invariably half of them screw it up.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You got to be on.
Speaking of that, Iron Chef, you were on Iron Chef.
I did.
Yeah. How did you have fun?
I had fun. Yeah. We schooled Bobby Flay.
Yeah,
we
that's
sure
great.
did. He and I are good friends, so I can say that, man. He is such a great guy, but man, we had a good day on Iron Chef.
He's got a few TV shows, I'll tell you that.
He's got a few.
But his persona, he's very likable. So he's easy to watch. He's got a soothing voice.
Yeah.
He's very he teaches people in an easy manner, and he's easy to watch.
He does, and he's a great guy. We've been friends for a long, long time.
So what was when you did Iron Chef? What was it you did?
Elk.
Oh.
Battle elk. Check it out. Battle elk.
Battle elk. That's it. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So you came back from Thailand, and that market I would love to.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and not only that, but I mean just everything about the whole city, the whole country, and I've been back since. I mean, I love Asia.
I love their culture.
Yeah,
I love the culture.
Phenomenal.
And I love their food.
By the way, I'll tell you another quick story about that first year.
Yeah.
I got stuck in a coup.
Did you really?
While we were there was a coup against the government.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
The entire city of Bangkok was put under martial law. And let me give you just imagine this for a moment, okay? Imagine being on the top of a skyscraper in New York looking down on Times Square and not seeing one single person on the street. Not one. It was insane. 4 days, lockdown.
Was it a little bit frightening, or were you okay?
It was frightening. In fact, when it first happened, I was alerted to this happening because I turned on CNN one morning when I couldn't sleep, and they had some footage of these soldiers that were right down the street from our hotel at the palace that shot to death these kids at the palace while they were standing on the top of them. I mean, that's what I saw on the television, and then turned it up, and it was like today in Bangkok, Thailand, 7 people were killed, and I'm like, oh my God, that's right down the
We
street.
are so lucky, United States, because we have laws.
Oh, yeah.
People don't understand if that. I mean, I've traveled overseas a bunch of the stuff. One time, way back when, my dad was. We used to go to Europe a lot, and we spent 3 months in Europe. And my dad would travel around. We went to from east to West Berlin, back up still east to West Berlin.
Right.
Dad took a wrong road in there, and they stopped us with machine guns. And I'll never forget them pointing those guns at us and me just freaking out.
Yeah.
And, they didn't speak English. They had to call somebody to speak English. It was a scary deal for about an hour.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a similar situation to that on the ocean in the middle of the channel between Cozumel and Cancun. We got pulled over by a Mexican Coast Guard cutter, and they boarded our ship. And it wasn't a ship. We were on a big fishing vessel and scuba diving.
Right.
Same thing. Held us at gunpoint with machine guns while they searched the boat.
There's nothing you can do. It's the most helpless feeling.
It was crazy.
Helpless feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came back to Dallas.
Continued to work at the Melrose for the next 2 to 3 years.
Awesome.
And then I met my first business partner, a guy by the name of Robert Hoffman. Robert and his father owned and operated the 5th largest Coca-Cola bottling company in America. So not only were they the most phenomenal people I've ever met in my life, but they were very successful, and they were, they were very interested in promoting my career and working with us or working with me as a chef to build my own restaurant, and that's how Abacus happened.
Awesome. So were they here or were they out of Atlanta?
No, they're here. So
okay.
So Robert's passed right now, or he passed not right now. He passed, but he had leukemia. But he was a huge art fanatic and loved collection, and in fact had and his wife still does have one of the most important art collections in the country, and he was really big into the Dallas Museum of Art, and so we opened. When I left the Melrose, we opened 1717 at the DMA, and we did all this social catering.
Right.
We did that for 2.5 years before we decided to move out and to open Abacus in 1999.
All right. So let's talk about Abacus, because I loved Abacus.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you one question before we start.
Got it.
Where'd the Lobster Shooters come from?
That's a great story, man. I mean, let me tell you, I'm not short on stories, brother.
Okay, but no, I told you that's why I do my show, because it's very hard, especially if you're in a restaurant, to get intimate with people when you're busy.
For sure.
So that's why I do it. So I want to tell you, the first time I had those years ago, I was like, 6 wasn't enough. I had to have more. I mean, they were just fantastic. So tell me about the story.
So great story, and this is going to freak you out because you're never going to see this coming. So at the museum, I got a call one day this is before Abacus. So I get a call one day from a producer at KERA, and she says, "Chef, I want to talk to you about doing a party, a dinner for a very, very important guest, and we'd like to have it at the museum at 1717, about 150 people." And so she, goes through all this information, and of course I'm like, "Okay, are you gonna tell me who it is? Am I gonna have to guess who it is?" And she goes, we have to keep this under wraps, but she goes, we want you to cook for Julia Chow's birthday.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, Julia Chow's. And they go, yeah, she's turning, I don't remember how old she was turning, but it was her birthday, and she was on a book tour here.
That's a little bit of pressure.
Well, a little bit of pressure. And then I said, now, am I one chef of a number of chefs? And then, oh, no. You're cooking the whole dinner. We want 5 courses. We want you to blow her away. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So the first course of the dinner that we did was a Thai red curry soup. Remember, this is coming off of Thailand.
Right.
So a Thai red curry soup with crab and scallion dumplings floating on the top of it, right? So
that sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. Yeah. Okay, so imagine a big bowl of the Lobster Shooter. Okay. So that's kind of what it was. So we served it, and then we went through the dinner, and she gets ready to get up and speak and to address the crowd. And literally, man, I'm in the room, and they got the whole team in there watching because we had already served dessert. And she gets up to the podium and she says, I have to say, I'm not sure what you all thought about that soup, but that was one of the most delicious things I've ever eaten in my life. And I went, write that down, man. And so we
You're right. I didn't see that coming.
Well, we banked that recipe for sure. And then not long after that, I got invited to go cook at the James Beard House in New York.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, James Beard House.
Hang on, John nominated 4 times, James Beard, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, but I'm the Susan Lucci. I never actually won. But you know what's great though is I never won, but we were always up against Vegas.
Yeah.
So Vegas was in our group. Did you know they separated that now?
Yeah, they did separate. Yes, they did.
Which is big for this
Huge.
state. It's big for this state. This is a great food city. I've said it my whole career here, and I'm just so happy that they finally said, "Look, Texas is its own world."
It is.
Man.
It is.
And so,
and it's hard. It's for me as a restaurateur and as a guy, and you too. It's hard to compete with Vegas because they have so much unlimited funds and money.
Oh my gosh, there is no competition.
No,
you can't.
No,
you can't even win. You can't even play in that.
They
game.
have no budgets.
No. So I'm just going to say, I'd like to think that if what's happening now was happening then, I'd have won.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I tell myself. Right? So anyway, so we thought, hey, we're gonna go up to the James Beard House, which is something that Julia Childs was deeply involved in, and we thought, hey, this is going to be a great opportunity to serve that soup, and we'll tell the story and blah blah blah. So as we're on the way up, I mean literally on the plane, I'm talking to my sous chef and our pastry chef, and I'm thinking, I feel like we might need to cut our portions down because we have 7 courses, and we're going to New York City, and Texas is a big portion kind of place, and
yeah.
Let's try to scale down everything to a real tasting portion. And so we hopped off the plane. We went to the hotel, dropped our stuff, went to Chinatown, and bought sake sets.
Okay.
And we literally cut the dumplings in half, resealed them, and then served the first lobster shooter at the James Beard House.
When you resealed the dumpling, you just cut in half and just resealed the ends.
We just resealed the ends so that it held it, and then literally and I don't know if have you ever been to the Beard House?
No, not in New York.
The Beard House kitchen is smaller than this studio.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. It's smaller than this
John
studio.
Bonnell told me that. Yeah,
it's crazy. So and by the way, all the guests have to travel through the kitchen to get to the dining area. So you get to meet everybody, right? So we sent out the first tray of lobster shooters, and like within 1 minute, this guy comes back in the kitchen with an empty cup, and I swear to you, he goes, I don't know what the hell that was, but I want another one right now. and that's where the lobster shooter was born. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told a story the other night. Somebody asked me about how many we thought we'd sold. Now, this happened to me probably 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. Zagat magazine called me, and they said, hey, we want to do a feature on the lobster shooter. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I mean, the lobster shooter has been publicized more than I can even describe to you.
Do you know what it has been? You know what? All the restaurants I've eaten all over the country, I haven't seen another one.
Well, and it's funny because I published a recipe years ago, and people say, you want to share that? And I'm like, you know what? I promise you this. That's going to be on my headstone, okay? And I'm going to tell you, if anybody does a lobster shooter like that, they're going to know where it came from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started doing this interview, and they said, look, we're going to have a few questions for you about amounts of lobster shooters that you think you've served. And so we went back and we went through the POS system and kind of calculated conservatively. Conservatively counted. And 7 or 8 years ago, when I did this article, I gave them a number of 1.6 million pieces at that time. Okay,
crazy.
And that was conservative estimate. And I mean, it has absolutely been the most successful thing I've ever produced in the kitchen. So,
for people who are listening that don't and who are going to listen and see this for the next year, explain to them. Can explain to them exactly what it is?
So the lobster shooter is basically
it's in a shooter bowl.
It's in a sushi tray,
right?
And then there are 6 little sake cups, and each sake cup has a little nugget of lobster. And at Abacus back in the day, we would make these dumplings, and we would saute this lobster meat, chop it up with herbs and garlic and all this stuff, and then we'd make it an individual dumpling. When I opened the Moto, I said, man, we're going to upgrade this. And so now the Lobster Shooter is a chunk of lobster that is tempura battered with a really spicy tempura batter, and then it's dropped in the cup, and then the waiter will pour a bit of the red curry sauce over the top, and you literally do it like a shot.
Right.
And,
now, is there sake in that?
There's a sake that finishes the sauce.
Okay,
There's a bit of, we started off, we do a reduction of mirin and rice vinegar and about 30 items.
Right. Yeah.
But there's sake in it.
Sure.
And so it's, it's a little bit of a Thai kind of thing, but done in a Japanese style.
It's savory, it's creamy, it's silky. I mean, I can't even describe how good it is.
It's ridiculous, man. I'm telling you.
I had 12 my first time.
I love you. I love that. Love that. Come and have 12 more.
Yeah. So let's talk about Abacus. Abacus is no more, obviously.
No more.
But can we talk a little bit about the whole Abacus story, kind of what happened?
For sure.
Okay,
yeah.
so let's talk about what happened.
Well, so were we talking about as I exited?
Yes, sir. As you exit Abacus.
So as I said earlier in this conversation, my first partner, Robert Hoffman, we built Abacus.
Right.
We built Jasper's in Plano.
Right.
In 201.
I like Jasper's too, by the way.
And you know what? Thank you. We were so fortunate. Jasper's was a hit too, man. I mean, Jasper's was nominated and chosen as one of the top 10 restaurants with Esquire magazine. The National Restaurant News Hot Concept Award.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. And the biggest thing that happened to us then is we got really noted about our ribs, our barbecue ribs, and Bon Appetit and the Food Network did a combination story and television special, and Jasper's was nominated as one of the top 3 places in America to have barbecue ribes. Yeah. And I mean, we went. Can we? Is there a bleep on here?
No, you're fine.
Are we good? we went from selling a lot of ribs to selling a shitload of ribs.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
that's good.
I mean, a lot of ribs.
Yeah,
crazy.
The food is kind of like a backyard atmosphere, wasn't it?
Totally. In fact, the tagline of the restaurant was backyard gourmet backyard cuisine. So anyway. We were running Abacus and we were running Jasper's, and then we put a Jasper's in the Woodlands, and then we put the Jasper's in Austin.
Right.
And then my partner came down with a very, very horrible disease, and it was a type of leukemia that took him in 9 months. And
oh my gosh,
that was a very devastating time for me because he was like a father figure to me, and the guy was brilliant, and I loved him, and I miss him, and it's like it's just terrible to think what happened. And he was one of the most philanthropic and one of the most sharp people in the whole world, I think. And anyway, that kind of started a series of events that started with the family trying to liquidate some of the assets that he had assembled, and one of them was the restaurant company. I was not the majority holder at the time, so that meant that whoever bought the company was working with me, and I was working with them, and
you were going to be stuck with whoever bought it.
And I was.
Yeah.
And the person that ended up buying it was in the restaurant business, but a very different segment. He was a steakhouse guy, and we ran the company together for 8 years, and we began to butt heads, and I just one day said, you know what, I got to make a move, and I'm not happy anymore. I'm not digging what I'm doing, and I'm too old, and I've done too much stuff, and I feel like I've done too many successful things to not be loving getting up and going to work.
Right.
And so I made a decision to exit the company, and that led to a massive lawsuit about my name and my likeness, and for a period of time I couldn't even do this radio show or this show. I
remember because I think I talked to you a while back. Yeah, I remember it was like a year and a half or 2 years ago. Yeah.
And so a 2.5 year legal battle and a stupid amount of money and time and
well,
emotion.
the attorneys are all the ones that win that kind of stuff.
You know, it's the biggest waste of resources that I've ever seen in my life, and I highly advise anyone that's getting into business with a partner to be very careful about protecting your personal identity, your personal
your name, your recipes, whatever.
Whatever it is. I mean, if you're an artist, if you're a singer, if you be very careful about how you approach all this.
You know, as a chef, you are an artist. To me, a chef is an artist.
Absolutely,
because you have to be both. If you're gonna have a beautiful dish,
right.
you've got to be an artist. So,
absolutely,
yeah.
And I'm big into that. I mean, I think our food in all of our restaurants is number one. I think it looks fantastic.
Always,
but I always believe it has to follow that by being something that you go, oh my gosh, I want to eat that again.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, that's over.
Yep.
It's closed. I am Kent Rathbun, and here I am on camera.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
done, and Abacus is gone.
Well, and that that's a bittersweet thing.
I know.
But Abacus, arguably for at least 15 years,
one of the best restaurants in Dallas.
I think it probably would have been the best restaurant in Dallas. And we had a beautiful run. We had so many talented people, so many talented chefs, so many talented, bar people, servers. I mean, I just can't even, just when you think about all the people that supported me through that time, you have Trey Wilcox, you have Aaron Stodmeyer, you have just tons of people, Matthew Scott, these guys, and there's 10s, 20s, 30 more people that I could mention here.
Sure.
I mean, these people have all gone on. Open restaurants.
Done great things. The only way I can explain Abacus is it's an extremely inviting restaurant with unbelievably delicious and creative food. I mean, I don't know how – there was nothing pretentious about it. It had a great atmosphere, had a great bar area, and the service was always fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. That was one of our goals. I can remember, and I know my team would tell you this, I used to say in meetings, I used to say, let me tell you, I don't ever want to hear anyone in this restaurant say, do, or act in any way that is pretentious, cocky. And I said, let me just tell you this, that this is a place that the higher we climb up the ladder, the more they want to look up your skirt.
Right.
And I said, if you even remotely begin to act like we are the thing, it'll be the death of this restaurant.
Yeah.
And I said, we have to be Southern hospitality with unbelievable service, food, and ambiance, and that's what we did. But
you breathe that in everything that you do in all your operations and all your culture. Well, but you know how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
So Abacus. So then, what was after Abacus?
So we had the Jaspers,
right.
And then my second partner, the gentleman that we separated with,
right.
He and I built Hickory. We built Blue Plate Kitchen. We built a number of concepts, and actually Hickory, we actually worked with the airport. So several of my restaurants are out in DFW Airport, although the only ones that I'm affiliated with now are Shinsei. So
sure.
all of the restaurants that have my name on them at the airport are actually I have no part of anymore because of the way the agreement ended up.
Hickory still does well?
As far as I know, it does well.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten there, but I hear that it's busy.
Yeah. So you've got a Moto now.
Yes.
And going well?
Well, we haven't reopened Emoto.
Okay.
In fact, today's going to be the first breath that we've taken down there. We're hosting our curbside barbecue operation at Emoto today as a pop-up pickup for our little curbside thing, which we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah,
but
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Lover's Seafood open. We have Shinsei open. Republic is open.
I have not been to Shinsei yet.
Oh my gosh, no. Bro! Are you kidding me?
No, I've been.
Oh my gosh, my wife is like rolling over right now, going, "What?" Dude, you got to go to Shinsei. I mean, okay. Shinsei. My wife and Lene Faring started years ago together, and that was back when Dean was married to Lene.
Right.
And Dean and I were friends, and Lene and Tracy met through Dean and I. And then all of a sudden, Dean and I hear this, yeah, we should open a sushi restaurant. And we're like, what? And, I mean, literally, like this whole thing blew up. And within weeks, like, they're like on it. The business plan is made. The name is there. I mean, it's like, and then all of a sudden, Dean calls me up one day and he goes, hey, bro, the girls are out in the dining room at the mansion. They just popped a bottle of champagne. I go, what happened? He goes, I think we're in the restaurant business together. And so, the rest is history. I mean, Lene and Tracy have done an unbelievable job with Shinsei. If you have got to go to Shinsei. Shinsei is one of the most popular restaurants in the whole city.
Awesome.
Yeah. Got to do it.
I'll go. I keep a list of right now. I've got 200 I have to visit this year. Right. And this is like,
we'll put that at the top.
I'm going to.
Put that at the top. Oh, look at this. Here comes a little. Oh, here comes a little taste.
Oh, wow. Before we finish that, real quick, let's talk about this is your this is the curbside you're doing your catering.
Yeah, well, so we've always had a large catering operation. So the catering company is Catering by Chef Kent Rathbun.
Right.
You have to make sure that Kent Rathbun is involved in this catering.
Right.
There's another one out there that I'm not involved in.
Okay.
So Catering by Chef Kent Rathbun. And we do all kinds of social catering. We do big events. We do small events. We do everything from beautiful, like, seated dinners to huge galas.
Sure.
And we do some things like barbecue or, pop-up little taco bars, things like that for people. But when this whole craziness happened, we decided that, hey, man, maybe there's a couple of things we need to do. And the idea was kind of spurred by one of our partners in this thing. His name's Mark Scholimer, who is the husband of one of my great assets, or one of our great assets at the restaurant, Jerry. And she basically runs the company and runs me. And so awesome. I heard her talking to Tracy about what her husband had done, which simply was posted on Facebook he was going to fire up the smoker, and if anybody wanted him to do a brisket for him, to call him. First day, sold 9 briskets.
Yeah.
And so I heard that, and I thought, okay, it's time to do this. And so I called him up and I said, hey, man, you want to partner on this thing? And here we are, man, 9 weeks later, rocking it for Memorial
but I think
weekend.
I think this is, and I'm gonna back up a second. I've told when the restaurants first shut down, and I was talking to people in the restaurant business, and I told them, because we owned lots of different concepts, and I told people my deal is the people who are going to survive in this deal are people who are going to adapt, overcome, and change what they're doing.
Absolutely,
quick.
Absolutely.
And the ones that did that are some of them are even up in their sales, up, and the other ones that didn't, they just died. You can't give up.
No,
you can't
give up. And so it's a really good segue to get back to the Emoto thing, because Emoto is largely driven by the American Airlines Center.
Sure.
Well, we don't think we're going to see a big concert or game for
a while,
months, maybe not till next year.
Yeah.
And so we are now thinking in terms of how do we adapt Emoto? How do we do something there? And so I have to say that we've been working with the landlord. The landlord has been great people to us.
That's a key.
You know what? I can't
relationships.
Say enough. I can't say enough about these people. They want to support us. They want us to be there, and we're going to figure it out one way or another. We're going to do the best thing for us and the best thing for them. But today there's life in Emoto. I mean, there's going to be. We're having the bar open. We're gonna have the curbside barbecue pickup there, and so
now if they want to do the curbside barbecue deal, that's on your. I saw it on your Facebook, right?
Yeah. So the curbside barbecue. If you just go to my website, chefkentrathbun.com, and again, it has to be chefkentrathbun.com. There will be a big banner there for the curbside barbecue, which will take you to the pages where you order. Okay. Everything's pre-order. We're only doing cash right now, and the pickup for today is between 4 and 7. And then tomorrow and Sunday we'll be at Lover's Seafood in the parking lot between we'll be there most of the day, but the pickup is between 2 and 4 on Saturday and Sunday. And I'll tell you what's really cool about this, man, is literally I'm excited. I'm so excited about this. You probably see me grin ear to ear, but this thing has blown up so much that we flew to Nashville 10 days ago, and we met with a concession trailer company, and we designed a concession barbecue trailer.
Awesome.
And we're probably pulling the trigger on it today.
Awesome.
And within 8 or 9 weeks, we're going to have the new Rathbun curbside trailer. And it is
Chef Kent Rathbun's curbside trailer.
Chef Kent. Well, yeah, exactly. And but I mean, literally, man, it's going to be sweet. It's 24 feet long. We've custom designed it. I also represent Lynx Outdoor kitchen equipment.
Okay.
And so Lynx has agreed to help me outfit the outside kitchen.
That'd be
it is
awesome.
going to be
beautiful,
badass.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it.
Gonna be Texas style.
Texas style, baby.
So, but since we're talking about barbecue, that's good into the spice. You've got these new spices now.
Right on.
And this is Rathbun Family Barbecue Rub.
Right.
And you've got the sticky pig pork rub. I like that sticky pig.
Yeah.
And the lemon pepper garlic salt. I smell that when I picked it up.
Yeah.
And the steak and chopped garlic salt.
That's it.
You can't go wrong with any of those.
So I'll tell you, the steak and chopped garlic salt has been on the market for quite some time, and I'm happy to say that this is one of the things that went away for me when I separated from my last company, and so I redid these new formulas, new packaging, new label. And they are popping up in Central Market this week.
That's awesome.
So they should be on the shelf this week. And if you want to just order them off my website, again, chefkentrathbun.com, we have a pretty cool little merchandise page. But I'm going to tell you, man, the steak and chop salt, I call it the gold dust.
Right.
This is an all-purpose seasoning for whatever kind of meats, vegetables.
Gold dust.
I'm telling you, it's awesome. And then what's really cool is these are all derived from this, right? So you get a little of this. Now you have citrus. You got lemon peel. You got a little rosemary and the lemon. The sticky pig is kind of a mixture between the barbecue rub and the chopped salt with extra sugar. We call it sticky pig because it's got topinamba sugar and brown sugar.
I was just fixing to ask you about that's good.
So you get the granular sugar, and then the barbecue rub is a really awesome barbecue rub. That's a dry rub that you can put on for up to 24 to 48 hours ahead. It's got very little salt in it, so it's just mostly peppers and paprika and things like that. So briskets, chickens, ribs, pork bellies, pork butts. This is the rub that you put on it, and then you come back and hit it with the chopped salt before you cook.
Awesome. When we post the show to all the social media, and because we do little taglines too.
Yeah.
I'll put your website on there.
Awesome.
Too. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Before I forget about it, you do stuff with the Cowboys. You cook for the Cowboys.
Yes.
And your brother does the.
Yeah. So both of us are affiliated with the Taste of the NFL, and the Taste of the NFL, we call it the Party with a Purpose.
Right.
It is. It exists to help support the food banks of America. And the way it works is a gentleman by the name of Wayne Jakowski up in Minneapolis started this 29 years ago.
I call that Snow City.
Oh, my God. It's crazy. Anyway, he thought, what a great way to raise money for these food banks and have these chefs get together with alumni players from each team and do this event at the Super Bowl. And now this thing has grown to be the #1 sanctioned by the NFL food and wine event at the Super Bowl. We serve anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 people, depending on the city. It's a pretty high ticket.
Yeah.
I think it was $750 last year.
Yeah.
Ahead, and
it's worth it though. It goes for a good cause.
All the proceeds go to the Hunger Links, and the way it works is the host city of the Super Bowl gets, I believe, 30%. And then the other 70% is split around the country in food banks. And so, and I'm just going to say this too, man. We are one of the greatest states in Texas, or in the country, if not the greatest state. Yet we have one of the biggest hunger problems in the country. Yeah, and that's just, it's ridiculous. I mean, anybody out there that can do anything for the Hunger Links, especially right now, right? I mean,
it's terrible. Oh my gosh,
crazy what's going on right now. So
I do a lot of stuff with the food bank in Fort Worth. It humbles, it keeps you humble, and it makes you. You know what? It makes you realize how lucky you are.
Well, you know what? When we're sitting here with food like this, and we go to restaurants, and pre-COVID, post-COVID, there's many of us who eat really beautiful food often. And there are a lot of people that are going to bed hungry, man. And that's just a crime.
It's terrible. So what has been your favorite thing in the restaurant business? If you could say, if somebody asked you, Kent, in your last decades, what's been your favorite thing in the restaurant, what would that be?
And are you talking about like overall, or are you talking about a specific thing? Well, overall, it's simple, you know. And I always say that the best and the worst thing about being a chef is that you're always smack dab in the middle of somebody else's party.
I've never thought about it that way.
I'm gonna tell you, you know, and here's the funny thing about this. Okay, so as a young chef, an up and coming chef, maybe you're a chef that hasn't got some of the accolades that other chefs have. You're working your ass off. You know, you're cooking and you're doing what you love to do, and the restaurant is exciting, the kitchen is exciting, it's competitive, there's nothing greater than knocking out 400 or 500 covers at the end of a shift and going, man, we rocked it, and knowing that you really kicked it with beautiful food and people were happy and they're digging it. But then you go, I wish I was part of that. I was part of that party, right? Well, you know, the beautiful thing about becoming a chef who's got a little bit of success, and I'm not a big fan of the celebrity chef term, but, you know, for the lack of a better term, you know, once you become somebody who is considered a celebrity chef, then you become the party.
Right.
And people want you there. They want you out in front. They want you to meet people. They want you to talk. They want you to do their show. This is cool for us, okay? So, I mean, if anybody tells you that they don't like the stardom of being a chef, they're lying to you. Okay? I mean, it's great. You know, how great is it to be able to do what you love and to have people really, really dig it, and you are fulfilled. And this is the beautiful thing of being a chef.
Okay, what is the worst thing for you? What's the biggest mistake you ever made, or the worst thing that you feel like in your career that you've done?
Man, I tell you, the first thing that comes to my mind is years ago when I was still working at the museum.
Right.
We ran a company called Donnie Catering, and Donnie Catering did a tremendous amount of social catering. And again, just like we do now, I mean, we did everything from 1,000 people, 2,000 people to 10. And I got asked to do the debutante ball one year at the Meyerson. Okay. And, you know, the people that were planning the party, you know, it's sort of the same old thing. You know, when you meet people that are not really in the business, they don't really understand some of the logistics and some of the things, and they don't understand why they cost so much and why you have to have this and have to have that. And we got down to a point where we were discussing the budget, and they were trying to cut out a big generator for the kitchens.
Oh.
And they said, we think we can run the kitchens off the same generator as we're running the bandstand. And I'm saying, not a good idea. Don't do it. And I mean, it was a battle. Okay. Yeah. Well, I lost the battle, and you know what's coming. So in the middle of the night, there's 1,300 people at the debutante ball. We had 2 satellite kitchens set up, both on one side of the Meyerson, one on the other. The band's playing, and all of a sudden we're getting ready. We're in the middle of serving the entree, and the lights go out in the kitchen, which turned off the ovens, and it was an absolute nightmare. Okay, and we ended up cooking almost 700 pieces of meat in a hot box with trays of sterno.
Oh my gosh!
You know, sterno or the canned heat. You know, I mean, we were like literally going, okay, I can't do. And I'll never forget it. My sous chef at the time, Joe Getz, he goes, hey chef, I don't know if this will help you, man, but I got 2 cases of sterno in the truck. And I go, get them.
Yeah.
And I mean, we opened them up. We put 10 or 15 sternos on a sheet pan, and we put a sheet pan of sternos about every 2 feet in hot boxes.
Made it work.
Dude, it took us 2 hours to get it out, but we did it.
Did it.
It was a nightmare.
Okay. All right. We're almost done. Chef, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
That's fast.
Remember, chefkentrathbun.com.
Yes.
Spell your last name for everybody.
Rathbun.
That's right. chefkentrathbun.com. It's got to be that for the barbecue. And next week, we've got a great show. Like I said, the day we kicked off our new season. This will be on the Country Network. Go to www.treyschowdown.com for all the latest details. And that's Trey with an E, not an A. That's what I tell everybody. Well, people spell it differently. I say all the good Treys are spelled with the E. And we'll see you again next week. Same time, same bat channel. And we're ready to go. Next week is Matt from Local Yokel Barbecue in McKinney. Have you been there?
I have not. I need to go.
You need to go. It's awesome. He took an old grocery store, 1800s in McKinney, and made a restaurant out of it.
Excellent.
He's got the catering in the back, and then the front and he's got all the old brick. They folded or whatever. It looks great. Awesome. Thank y'all again. See y'all next week for Matt.
Perfect.
I'm Trey Chapman, publisher of Trey'sChowdown.com. I'm passionate about finding the best food, drinks, and chefs, and sharing it all with you. I should know I have over 5 decades of food experience. Find me on any podcast platform, Facebook Live, or just Google me. Now you can watch and listen to all my great finds every week on my live TV and radio podcast at Trey's Chowdown Live.